Good morning and welcome to the news at 8 on ConsumerHallaTV. I am Peace Nweke. Vice President Kashim Shettima has pledged support for the speedy passage of the Chartered Governors Institute of Nigeria Bill, currently before the National Assembly. He also assured the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, a federal backing for the completion of its new national secretariat in Lagos. Shettima gave the assurance while receiving a delegation of ICSAN led by its president and chairman of council, Uto Ukpana, during a courtesy visit to the presidential villa in Abuja. Ukpana briefed the vice president on efforts by the institute to strengthen corporate governance, ethical leadership, and institutional capacity across the public and private sectors. The ICSAN president explained that the proposed Chartered Governors Institute of Nigeria Bill, awaiting second reading at the National Assembly, would improve professionalism and align Nigeria with evolving global governance standards. She also appealed for government support towards the completion of the Institute's National Secretariat, expected to serve as a center for governors' education, research, and stakeholder engagement. Responding, Shettima stressed the importance of good governance in national development and commended ICSAN for its contributions over the past 60 years. He assured the delegation that the federal government would continue supporting initiatives aimed at strengthening institutions, promoting transparency, and driving sustainable economic growth. Nigeria's equities markets closed at a fresh all-time high on Wednesday as sustained investor demand pushed the Nigerian Exchange All-Share Index above the quarter-million mark. The benchmark index gained 283.52 points, representing 0.11%, to close at 252,695.19 points. The rally was driven mainly by strong buying interest in blue-chip stocks, especially MTN Nigeria and BUA Cement. Gains recorded by the two companies lifted market capitalization by 64 billion naira to 162.06 trillion naira. Other stocks that supported the bullish performance included UACN, Berger Paints Nigeria, and Feedsin Healthcare. Market breadth also remained positive, with 39 gainers against 29 losers at the close of trading. Dar Communications, Feedsin Healthcare, Livestock Feeds, and CWG topped the gainers chart with the maximum daily appreciation of 10% each, while NCR Nigeria and Cornerstone Insurance led the losers list. Trading activity remained strong, with more than 1.5 billion shares exchanged in over 76,000 deals, valued at 91.66 billion naira. The Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, has raised concerns over increasing insider-related fraud in the banking sector, calling for a return to ethical standards in recruitment and operations. The institute warned that the growing trend threatens public confidence in the nation's financial system. Speaking at the 2026 Annual General Meeting of the CIBN Lagos State Branch, the President and Chairman of Council, Pius Olariwaju, said banks now focus more on deposit mobilization and personal connections than integrity and proper screening of prospective employees. Olariwaju disclosed that the industry had suffered major financial losses through collaboration between bank insiders and criminal networks. He cited recent cases where billions of naira were reportedly siphoned from two banks within a fortnight, attributing the development to the growing desire for quick wealth among young professionals. Despite the concerns, the institution expressed optimism over the ongoing recapitalization exercise by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Olarewaju commended the Apex Bank for providing a structured 24-month implementation period, while the Lagos State branch of the institute reported growth in assets and surplus for the 2025 financial year. Nigeria's crude oil imports for domestic refining dropped sharply in April 2026 as local refineries, including the Dangote Petroleum Refinery, received nearly 18 million barrels of crude entirely from domestic sources. According to figures released by the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, local refineries received 18.37 million barrels of crude in April, with 17.96 million barrels sourced locally and only 410,000 barrels imported. The latest figures represent a major reduction in import dependence compared to previous months. The report showed that domestic refineries received an average of 612,000 barrels per day in April, while imports declined to just 13,700 barrels daily. The Dangote refinery recorded an average capacity utilization of more than 99% during the month and produced over 53 million liters of petrol daily, alongside diesel and aviation fuel. The NMDPRA described the development as increased its 7.25% in the facility. The billionaire businessman stated that the National Oil Company had earlier agreed to acquire a 20% stake in the refinery, but later reduced its holding to 7.25% after failing to pay the balance. He added that further requests by NNPC to buy additional stakes were declined. Dangote also said future investors in the refinery, petrochemical and cement businesses would receive dividends in dollars because a significant portion of the group's revenue now comes from exports. He identified government policy inconsistencies as one of the biggest risks facing major investments in Nigeria. Energy stakeholders, regulators, and industry operators are expected to gather in Lagos on July 23rd for discussions on reducing emissions in Nigeria's oil and gas sector as the country pursues its net zero target by 2060. The conference, organized by Oriental News Nigeria, will focus on carbon capture and broader regulatory reforms aimed at accelerating decarbonization within the extractive industry. According to organizers, discussions will center on the proposed National Decarbonization Bill and the implementation of the Climate Change Act 2021. Participants are also expected to explore financing options, investment strategies, and operational sustainability in the energy sector. Group Managing Director of Sahara Group, Kola Adeshino, is expected to lead discussions on ongoing reforms and decarbonization initiatives across the energy value chain. The Nigerian Independent System Operator NISO has attributed recurring national grid collapses to faults across the generation, transmission, and distribution segments of the electricity sector. Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of NISO, Abdul Mohammed, made the disclosure during a virtual interaction with energy correspondents and industry professionals across the country. Mohammed explained that disruptions can occur at any point within the electricity value chain and stressed that the operator remains committed to restoring normal operations whenever faults arise. He said the national grid comprises interconnected transmission lines, substations, and other critical infrastructure nationwide. According to him, balancing electricity demand and supply remains a difficult task because of manual operations and low system visibility. He added that Nigeria's grid frequency is expected to operate around 50 Hz, but repeated imbalances continue to expose weaknesses in the nation's power infrastructure, despite reforms and investments. The Nigeria Customs Service Apapa Area Command has warned officers against delays in cargo clearance, insisting that such actions would no longer be tolerated. The warning was issued by the Customs Area Controller of the Command, Emmanuel Oshoba, during the command's monthly parade in Apapa, Lagos. Oshoba directed officers to intensify operational interventions aimed at blocking revenue leakages while ensuring seamless trade facilitation and timely cargo clearance at the nation's busiest seaport. It stressed that consignments duly cleared should not face unnecessary delays at exit gates. The customs boss also urged officers to strengthen anti-smuggling operations, remain professional in their dealings with stakeholders, and avoid misconduct capable of tarnishing the image of the service. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and the Nigerian Institute of Petroleum and Gas Engineers, NIPTEG, have advocated wider adoption of artificial intelligence and digital technologies to improve operations in Nigeria's oil and gas industry. The position was highlighted during a courtesy visit by the President-elect of NIPTEG, Priska Kanebi, to the Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPCL, represented by Executive Vice President for Gas, Power and New Energy, Olalekan Ogunleye, in Abuja. Discussions focused on the future of Nigeria's hydrocarbon industry amid global energy transition, concerns, and technological changes. Kanebi proposed the establishment of a national center for intelligent energy systems to support the deployment of artificial intelligence, robotics, and the Internet of Things across the petroleum value chain. The Institute also recommended a hydrocarbon-linked emissions trading system and fiscal incentives to encourage local manufacturing, carbon capture projects, and renewable energy initiatives. Both organizations stressed the need for stronger collaboration between industry and academic institutions. Business leaders across Nigeria are increasingly adopting artificial intelligence as a strategic tool for growth and resilience amid economic uncertainty. According to the regional managing partner for EY West Africa, Anthony Oputa, speaking on findings from the EY Parthenon 2026 CEO Outlook report, Oputa said companies are moving beyond basic experimentation with AI and now focusing on targeted deployment across logistics, finance, and customer service operations. The report showed that 93% of Nigerian companies have adopted some form of AI to improve operational efficiency. It also revealed that business leaders now see AI more as a tool for workforce empowerment rather than replacement. According to the survey of 1,200 CEOs across 21 countries, 42% of executives plan to reskill workers to maximize AI potential, while 44% are redesigning job roles to strengthen collaboration between humans and intelligent systems. Nigerian professionals and salary earners have been encouraged to focus on converting their monthly income into long-term assets capable of generating sustainable wealth. The advice was given at the third edition of the Game of Money Conference in Lagos, organized by financial educator and media personality Tokpe Mark Odige. The conference, themed How to Build Wealth on a Salary, brought together business executives, investors, and financial experts who urged Nigerians to embrace disciplined investing and long-term financial planning, despite prevailing economic pressures. Mark Odige said many Nigerians wrongly believe wealth is determined by income level alone, stressing that financial success depends largely on understanding how money works. Investor Victor Afolabi also told participants that salaries alone rarely create lasting wealth unless converted into productive assets. And that is all on the news at 8 on ConsumerHallaTV. Do follow us across all social media platforms on ConsumerHallaTV, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. I am Peace Nwoke, and this is a good morning to you.
Hello consumers, you have the right to be heard, absolutely. So join us on the conversation, share your brand experience, where you tell us all your experiences about brand on the outer world via our YouTube channel every Wednesday from the hour of 4:20 to 5:20. You can watch us via our YouTube channel, ConsumerHallaTV, and subscription is free. Follow us on all our social media platforms, ConsumerHallaTV. Share your brand experience. It's about storytelling. It's about experiences.
Hello consumers, you're welcome to another exciting episode of Consumer Voice on ConsumerHallaTV. I am Matilda Omenai. As you already know, Consumer Voice is a show where we'll be visiting different places in Lagos to check out people's preferences, hear what the consumers have to say about different leading brands that they make use of.
Hello, it's your boy Iremofe Koforola, and you know what? They call me the AUF General Overseer. Every day is a blessing and it is meant to be enjoyed maximally with AUF packages that put a smile on our faces. And guess what? That is why this show AUF is for you. You can get to know about trending market slashes, promos, offers, and juicy deals that put a smile on your faces, and you can always enjoy them maximally. And you know one thing that's so interesting about this show? It is a blend of English and Pidgin. As I dey run you English, now I go dey marry am with Pidgin, make am spicy. So catch me every time on the show to enjoy more about trendy AUF packages. Peace.
Public service announcement. Hello consumers, I am Kikelomo Ajibola and welcome to the Scam Alert segment on ConsumerHallaTV. Scam Alert educates viewers about various scams affecting consumers. We learn tips on how to identify fraudulent activities and provide advice on protecting our personal information. We aim to raise awareness and empower viewers to avoid falling victim to scams. We cover various topics such as phishing, identity theft, fraudulent investment schemes, and many more. You want to catch up on how these scammers invade our lives? Join us every Tuesday by 12:30 p.m. for Scam Alert on our YouTube channel at ConsumerHallaTV. Subscription is absolutely free. And in case you're not following us across all our social media platforms, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok at ConsumerHallaTV. Don't say I get
special. You will get to see the passion, energy, and dedication that goes into making this market success. Tune in to In the Marketplace on ConsumerHallaTV on Thursday by 11 a.m. to experience the sight and sound. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media and on ConsumerHallaTV. I am Elizabeth Abefe.
Hello fellow consumers, are you looking for a program where we give analysis about brand and a program where we project the voice of the consumer? Join my team and I on Consumer Analytics and Resolution Box by calling on the program to get your issues resolved.
And in case you are wondering where Consumer Analytics and Resolution Box will be showing, please join us on our YouTube channel at ConsumerHallaTV. Subscription is free by 2 p.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. every Mondays and Wednesdays. Consumer Analytics and Resolution Box will be airing and will be here to provide you any information on brands and also issues that you have pending for us to resolve. Also follow us across all our other social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok at ConsumerHallaTV. And that is why at ConsumerHallaTV,
You deserve to be heard. Hi everyone, I am Iri Ayomikunle Eke. Join me live on Perspective every Mondays to Friday from the hour of 9 to 10, where we have meaningful and engaging conversations about all the burning and pressing issues making the round. Issues related to our economy and consumers. It's conversing, it's relatable, it's beyond interview. We have expert analysts who gives updated analysis about all aspects of a conversation. Join the moving train by subscribing to our YouTube channel, ConsumerHallaTV, and do well to follow us on all our social media platforms, ConsumerHallaTV. Stay informed. Thank you.
I am Matilda Omenai. As you already know, Market Today is the show where we visit different markets across Nigeria, Lagos, to check out the prices of different things, ranging from household items to foodstuffs to cosmetics, electronics, every other thing.
In a world of hustle and bustle, entertainment keeps us alive, and that is why at ConsumerHallaTV we ensure you enjoy all around 360-degree entertainment program. Screen Time is the show for you, where you enjoy top 5 countdown, celebrity of the week, exclusive interview, and other segments.
Don't mind if it's just a jealous person.
Oh,
It's new movie release, update, and Screen Time. I'm going to enjoy myself because this is my favorite time on the program. I get to recommend good movie for you, and I'm also waiting for you to recommend movies to me also in the comment section. Screen Time is not just all about entertainment, it is relaxing and also educational. So that is why we are bringing to you Screen Time on ConsumerHallaTV. And in case you're wondering where to join us every Mondays by 5 o'clock p.m. at ConsumerHallaTV on our YouTube channel. Subscription is very, very free. And in case you have not followed us across all our social media platforms, please do so. We are begging you, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and also TikTok at ConsumerHallaTV. What are you waiting for? Click on that follow and subscribe right now.
And from the I to the R to the E to the M to the F to the E, my name is Iremofe Koforola, the man always clothed in wealth and strength.
And I am Kikelomo Ajibola. Toodles!
Last time we were at Ojota Park, full price was already at a concerning level. And today, it is not an entirely different story, but a more difficult tune. Hello consumers, welcome back to another episode of Market Today on ConsumerHallaTV, where we go to markets to ask about the current prices of daily commodities that the consumer cannot do without. And today, we're at Ojota Park to ask drivers about the current prices of fuel. We are here to ask how much they bought fuel today, how are they able to meet up with their daily targets, and how they come to a middle ground when passengers complain about the transport fare. My name is Peace Nweke, and this is me on Market Today for ConsumerHallaTV. Stay with me, guys. Let's go explore what the drivers are saying at Ojota Park. Good morning.
Good morning, Auntie.
How are you today?
Fine.
All right, can you tell me your name?
My name is Who Knows Tomorrow.
Who Knows Tomorrow?
Yes.
Oh, that's a very inspiring name. All right, what do you do in this park?
I drive Marwa.
Marwa, you drive Marwa?
Yes.
Okay, Who Knows Tomorrow? Did you buy fuel today?
I buy fuel.
How much did you buy for?
I buy 1,350.
1,350?
Yeah.
Which filling station?
NNPC.
All right, so that 1,350, how many liters did you buy?
I buy like 7,000 naira.
7,000 naira.
Yes.
Okay, before we even continue, which road do you normally go? Where do you plan?
I dey run Oregu to Olausa.
Oregu to Alausa.
Ojota, from Ojota, Oregu, from Oregu to Olausa, I go turn. Come back to Ojota.
Okay. So that 7,000 naira now, how many liters did he give you today?
That is, let us say 4 liter.
Okay. So if you buy that 4 liters, does it take you for the whole day?
For before 1 o'clock, the fuel don finish.
So you buy another?
I buy another 7,000. A day sef, I dey tell you say I dey use fuel 20 something.
Wow.
I dey tell you, and the money no dey come outside. The fuel na dey chop the money.
Wow.
So I beg, una help us, beg Nigeria. Our Tinubu. Èmi ló kọ may help us. Abeg may help us. Because the thing dey affect the workers. Workers now some of them dey waka for leg. Because they no get the transport. I will dey put the thing dey feel am. From there we go dey carry them. Price us supposed to carry them. You know they carry them. Some of them will pity them. Some of them go cry say, bros, I no get money. You wey go feel am. To be also you too be human being, you don't know tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's why my net, we don't know tomorrow.
Who knows tomorrow?
So more help for back there so that I will just help them 200 naira to Olausa.
Wow. So when you do this, are you able to meet up with your targets, your daily targets?
By the power of the gods, not my power.
So you still meet up with your daily targets?
Yes.
Wow. So how many trips do you go on a day?
Sometimes we go like 7, sometimes we go like 8. No be say you go carry go see for carry call, you go better. But if you carry go, you go blow come back. So it affect us.
Okay. So one more question for you. Let's talk about the past 2-3 months. How much did you buy for that time?
That time is 1,000 naira. I be 19 something 1,000. Let us say 1,000.
And that time when you were buying it 1,000. How many liters do you buy?
That one something like 5 liter.
5 liters.
Okay.
So how many trips do you go that time?
Oh, that time work with the sweet now. They go like 10. You see work they enter.
Yeah.
But now the money they are the increase for another increase price also. So it's only God that help us.
So my last question for you, are the passengers complaining? And when they complain, how do you now talk to them, make them enter your keke?
They follow that they reach because I tell them, say, no be seen our fault. Only God that help us. We too as the feel and so we feel.
Yeah.
Some of them they understand, they say that the fuel will cost.
Yeah.
Now make the price go up.
Yeah.
So we understand ourselves sometimes.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much.
No, Allah, God bless you.
Talking about daily targets, let's hear from the drivers what they have to say about meeting up with their daily targets. Have they been able to meet up with their daily targets, or have they found a way to come to a middle ground where they have to reduce prices, still fair for passengers, for them to be able to make sales, to make profit, or to be able to meet with their daily targets? Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm fine.
All right, sir. Can you tell me your name?
Moses Agbike.
Okay, Mr. Moses. What do you do in this park?
I'm a driver.
You're a driver?
Yes.
Okay, which road do you fly?
I am from Ogba to Ojota here.
Okay, from Ogba to Ojota.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Moses, did you buy fuel today?
Yes, I do. I bought a fuel like 16,000 naira.
16,000 naira?
Yes.
That's how many liters?
Like 10, 12 point something.
12 point something liters?
Yes.
Okay. So, how much is a liter today?
A liter is 1,320 now.
1,320 naira
per liter.
Okay.
Before, like 86, some fuel station. That is what we bought.
Okay. Before it was around 800, yes. 860 naira.
16 naira.
Okay. All right. So, talking about before, was it like a month, 2 months ago, or 3 months ago?
Yeah, like 3 months ago.
Like 3 months ago.
Yeah, back.
Okay. So, Mr. Moses, let me ask you, how much is the tea fare from here to Ogba?
Now it's 500 per a seat.
Okay.
One person is 500. Before you are carrying it 400 naira, and before we able to make it, because like the more we go now, the more we consume fuel, and the passenger is not much even like before because of the little they raise. And they thought some of them began angry and grew aggressive, say, why are they raising this amount? But they don't know that they affect us, because the amount of money they put inside fare from 860 now to 1,300 and something. They affect us more, a lot. So some of them can't be able to meet up. We work late, and when we're able to buy fuel consume a lot of money, whereby some cannot be able to meet up.
So you're talking about the daily target. You're not able to meet up with your daily target again. And you like consume more fuel.
Because of consuming more fuel. The more we work, the more we buy the fuel. Sometimes if I can work a full day, I will buy a fuel like a 20-something thousand, and I cannot go home with 5,000 naira.
Wow. Talking about, going home with 5,000 naira, let's talk about the unit of fuel of petrol that you buy in your shuttle. So you mentioned that this morning you bought for 16,000 naira.
Yes.
And that one was for 12.5 liters. Okay, so
because
you also
if you want to reason it, if they really, if you want to calculate it, if you carry 4 liter of keg to buy a fuel now, you will like a 5 to 6 liter before that keg will full. If you say give me fuel of 4 liter, that keg will not even come to the half.
It will not come to.
So if you want to calculate it well, it's like that liter is like 1,500.
Wow.
Because that liter is not a normal as we expecting it.
Normal quantity, quality.
Yeah, as we like a normal liter when they write 5 liter, 4 liter, and you expect 4 liter to complete. It's not like that.
Okay, so let's talk about that 2 months, 3 months ago when you were still buying it for around 800 and something naira. That 16,000. How many liters would it have bought that time?
Like it will go like it depends. The fuel station, some fuel station, that one will give us like a 22, 25 liters or more than that.
22, 25 liters. But now what you're getting is around 12.5.
Yes.
That's a very huge difference. Yes.
Almost a pint plus. Almost plus. Because something of 80 to now 130. We are seeing, but it's beyond that.
Yes. All right. So, talking about the transport fare, what are your passengers saying? How are they complaining much about the transport fare, or they are not even complaining, or do they even prefer to walk now rather than enter?
They complain a lot. Sometimes, like we are the one that are consuming this money because they don't understand. Only few of them can understand because they both were like us. Like some of them, like you are increasing them the fuel and increase the rate of the transportation, and you cannot you grow aggressive. We like explain to them it's not our fault. Before we can able to even meet up more than this kind of dollar. He says it's not our we don't care. We don't care. And this thing.
So when they are being aggressive, how do you get to a middle ground with them? What do? Do you like try to explain to them, or do you tell them, okay, bring 400 naira?
No, we like explain to them, because if you bring that 400 naira, I can't be able to continue this work. We bought in fuel of 130 to 1,320, 1,350, and you are paying me 400 a person a trip, and I can't be able to meet up on my buying fuel. Sometimes we make a lot of money, like almost like 30,000. 20-something thousand, but one want to refill the fuel. You cannot, you like angry, getting angry. So like we come to the customer, we like petting them, please. Like when they grow aggressive, we like take me to my destination at time. You are wasting my time. You collect a lot of money and you are increase, and you are delay my time. I know that you're upset. You are now increased. I say, please, it's not my fault. Please, I will make any effort in order to reach the time.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So how many trips have you taken today?
like today now, this is my fourth one.
This is your fourth one?
Yes.
So looking at 3 months ago, how many trips do you take before?
Before, like 7 trip 8. That's what I'm going for.
But now
before.
you're only doing how many trips now?
Sometimes now 5, sometimes now even today is going, sometimes 4.
Sometimes 4.
But because we work late too, in order for meet up.
To be able to meet up. So right now, rather than making profit, it seems as if you're running out of loss.
Running out of loss, very a lot.
All right, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm good.
All right, can you tell me your name?
My name is Prince Aki.
Okay, Prince Aki. What do you do in this park?
I'm a commercial driver.
You're a commercial driver. Okay, so Prince Aki, did you buy fuel today?
Yes.
How much did you buy fuel today?
I've bought fuel for 20,000 naira.
20,000 naira. How much is it per liter?
1,320.
1,320.
Yes.
So let me ask you about the past 2 months. How much did you buy it the last 2 months?
Well, last 2 months, there was a time we were buying it 800, 820.
Okay.
It later increased to 920. From 920 to 1,020 naira. From there, it increased again to 1,140 naira. Then the last one was 1,255 naira that we used to buy. But presently now we buy 1,320.
Okay. So during the past 2 months when you were buying it at those prices you mentioned, that 20,000 naira, the 20,000 naira that you bought today, how many liters would it have covered that period?
And then when it was 800, it can cover up to 19 liters. But for now, it's just 14 liters.
14 liters.
14 liters.
So that's a massive difference.
Yes.
So, okay, which road do you normally ply?
My route is Ojota Bega.
Ojota Bega.
Yes.
So how much is the transport fare?
Because of the high cost of fuel, we carry 700, sometimes 600.
How much was it before the high cost of fuel?
Before it was 500 and 600.
500 and 600.
And just 100 naira difference now.
All right. So, the last 2 months when the price was cheaper, you get for 20,000 naira you get 19 liters.
Yeah.
But right now you're getting 11 liters. And during that period, you said transport fare was 500 naira. Right now it is 700 naira.
Yes.
How are you able to meet up with targets? Your daily targets?
Now or before?
Now.
Sometimes I don't meet up my daily targets because sometimes I say, okay, I want to get up to 40,000 naira based on the high cost of fuel, and I won't want to also risk my vehicle by driving empty tank. I have to close on time because when I see that my fare have gone down, I might come back home with 40, sometimes 35 or 37.
Okay, so now that you don't meet up with your daily target, how many times in a day do you go to Bega from this park?
Sometimes 6 times or sometimes 7.
Right now?
Okay, like now presently?
Yes,
okay,
presently.
This is my number 4th time.
4th time?
Yes.
So what will you say about the passengers? Are passengers still going to Bega very well? What are they saying about this increase in fuel prices?
They don't even care about the increase of increment of fuel, but their own issue is the increment of transportation. That's what they are always talking about. Most of the times they throw abuses to the drivers and say so many things to us, but we have no choice. That's what we are doing. We have to continue with it.
So at any point, do you think maybe at any point in time have you
at the middle ground? You know, when they're saying, oh, the price is too high. Have you at the middle ground with them where you tell them, oh, rather than 700, maybe pay this certain amount just so you could carry passengers?
Yeah, it's like sometimes we do that whereby we see that there are not much passengers, we reduce it to 600.
To 600 naira.
Yes. So that's what we used to do sometimes. But where there are passengers, we maintain the price like that.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Ekaro.
How are you today?
Wow, okay.
All right, sir. Can you tell me your name?
My name is Esu Olalere.
Okay, Mr. Olalere. What do you do in this park? Kí lẹ ń ṣe ní páàkì?
Driver ni mi.
Driver ni. All right, sir. So, ẹ jẹ́ kí n bèrè lọ́wọ́ iṣẹ́ tí repo lé ní?
Ti repo lé ní o.
You bought fuel today?
Mo ti repo 15,000 lé ní.
15,000. How many liters ni ẹ jẹ́?
That's 11 liters.
11 liters?
Yeah.
Okay. So, èló ni 1 liter lé ní?
1 liters 1,325 naira.
1,325 naira. Ilé epo wo lẹ ti rà?
Total ni mo ti ra epo.
Total lẹ ti ń ra epo. Okay. So mo fẹ́ mú yín padà sí, oṣù méjì sẹ́yìn, past 2 months. Èló lẹ ra epo nígbà yẹn?
Mi ò lè remember but epo bí 3 months to 2 months. Ó sì yàtọ̀ sí ẹ̀ńtàrànsì.
So báwo ló ṣe yàtọ̀?
Ìyàtọ̀ tó wà ń bẹ̀rẹ̀ pé tá a bá ra bíi 15,000 a sì lè lo èdè. Bẹ́ẹ̀ náà sìn bíi 27, 25 lára sìn.
Kò dẹ̀ ní gbẹ̀yìn fún èdè.
Kò lè gbé wa fún èdè.
Wow. So ẹ jẹ́ ká bọ́ sí ọ̀rọ̀ transport fare, owó ọkọ̀. Ibo lẹ́tẹ̀ ọ̀nà ibo lẹ́yìn máa ń gbà sí tẹ́ bá fẹ́ pèrò sọ́kọ̀?
Àwa náà Aláùsá secretariat.
Aláùsá secretariat?
Yeah.
So èló ni Aláùsá secretariat?
500.
500. Èló lẹ́ ń gbé ní oṣù méjì sẹ́yìn yẹn?
400.
400 naira. Okay, báyìí tá ti mọ iye, kí làwọn passenger yín wá ń sọ? Báwo ti gbà tó bá complain pé owó mọ́tò ó ti high jù, the money is too much, the transport fare is too high. Báwo lẹ ṣe máa ń get into a middle ground with them so that ṣé ẹ máa reduce owó yẹn díẹ̀ fún wọn ní tó bá ti pé wọ́n complain àbí oye tówó yẹn jẹ́ náà lówó tówó yẹn jẹ́?
Pípọ̀ wọn náà their owner ni wọn. So àwọn gan wọn gbé mọ́tò gbà tí epo yẹn wà ní wọn gbé mọ́tò wà bíṣẹ́ mọ́. Ó ti wọ́n ti mọ kódà gan àwọn gan tó wò pé 500 naira gan tó kéré bẹ̀tà wá wò pé secretariat síbí àwa òkè pẹ̀lú 500 yẹn. So àwọn náà dẹ̀ bá wa fi ọwọ́ sowọ́ papọ̀ wọ́n wọ̀. So bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
Okay. So àtìgbà tí owó epo yẹn ti wá ga sókè báyìí sìn, báwo ni ẹ ṣe wá meet up pẹ̀lú ṣé tẹ̀ máa meet up pẹ̀lú daily targeting?
Meet up mọ́ rárá. Sọ bírú àwọn tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n ń ṣe àgbà wà wọn meet up púpọ̀ wọn ti lù síṣẹ́ torí deliver wọn ò pé bẹ́ẹ̀ tí irú àwọn àṣàwàlà ní mọ́tò bá pa ayé báyìí à ń lọ ilé náà là ń kóra wa lá ní káwa ilé là ń gbé lọ náà sì mo ṣe jókòó yìí sí owó tó wà lọ́ọ́ mi sì kò tí ju 7,000 lọ lẹ́yìn ìgbà tí mo rè kú.
So mélòó ìnèdè báyìí ti lọ lé ní báyìí ti jáde?
Ẹlẹ́kẹfà tí mo fẹ́ lọ bí báyìí lélẹ̀.
Ẹlẹ́kẹfà tẹ fẹ́ lọ?
Tẹ́lẹ̀ dẹ̀ ni a máa ń lọ bí 10 a máa gbèrò lọ sí ànírèrò gbé padà wá.
Tẹ́ bá ti gbèrò lọ ẹ kí n rérò ń gbé
padà wá.
Ó wá affect bí ẹ ṣe ó wá affect sales yẹn make profit ẹ lè meet up pẹ̀lú daily target mọ́.
Kí ni jà tẹ̀ mọ́?
So kí lẹ rò pé ó máa ṣẹlẹ̀ tó bá tẹ̀ wá ká sọ pé in the next 1 month báyìí náà ló ṣìṣe rí, báwo lẹ ṣe rò pé ó máa affect business, kí lẹ rò pé lè ṣe sí tó tẹ̀ máa help yín kẹ́ lè meet up pẹ̀lú daily target?
A lè fowó kó mọ́tò mà tó ráwa náà fowó wọ mọ́tò ó ti yé yín torí tá a bá tó fowó kó mọ́tò sí ànírèrò ń bí mọ́. Ẹlòmíì láì kó fẹsẹ̀ rẹ̀ láti bí Ìkẹjà torí 500 ó ti yé kò sí agbára tàbí tíjọba kẹbalẹ̀ ẹ̀bù akẹ́kẹ́ fún yẹn lẹ̀ sí bóyá 1000 ìlú gan ṣe máa ṣèṣì ṣe máa wà ká tó jẹ́ kí gbogbo ẹ bá wo títì ẹ̀ sì ẹ̀rí kó dá before tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ gbogbo bíi go slow ni tí mọ́tò pọ̀ rẹpẹtẹ ẹ̀yin náà rí gbogbo títì ẹ̀rí báwọn èrò lè kọjá dáadáa mọ́ so epo ẹ̀ ló kọ́ sí gbogbo kìnìún yẹn ẹlòmíì ò ní lè jẹ ẹlòmíì ẹ̀kan ló máa jáde lọ́sẹ̀ ẹlòmíì ẹ̀ẹ̀mejì lọ́sẹ̀ yes torí owó epo ó ti so bó ṣe rí nìyẹn.
All right, thank you so much for your time, sir.
ẹ ṣé gan.
Passengers become aggressive when we tell them about the transport fare. Most times, they even prefer to walk rather than enter for what they claim is outrageous prices. Hello consumers, hope you enjoyed today's episode of Market Today on ConsumerHalla TV. And today we've explored Ojota Park, and what we've come to realize is that most drivers are not able to meet up with their daily targets. They are not even able to come up to profit. And this is because most Nigerians are not able to pay for their transport fares. It is not over, but until the next episode, you can catch us on ConsumerHalla TV on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. My name is Peace Nwoke, and until the next episode, bye for now.
Hi people, my name is Mo Fakorede and I am a filmmaker and a film director, and you're watching ConsumerHalla TV. ConsumerHalla TV is everything consumer advocacy, consumer rights, everything that has to do with consumers. On this TV, you'll watch, you'll learn, you'll be educated, you'll be entertained. Keep watching ConsumerHalla TV.
My name is Olubukola Ozone, a photographer and a social media enthusiast. You're watching ConsumerHalla TV. It's a consumer advocacy TV. If you have a problem, anything, any consumer related problem, just holla at them, just like their name implies, and they're going to get it sorted for you. Keep watching, stay tuned. Thank you very much.
Hi guys, my name is Joba Jalabi. I'm a marketing communications professional. I currently lead marketing at Flash Change, a fintech startup. Keep watching ConsumerHalla TV, a consumer advocacy channel.
Hello, my name is Sharon Rotimi. I'm an actor and I am on ConsumerHalla TV. Now, ConsumerHalla TV is a consumer advocacy channel. So if you have any issues, consumer-related issues with brands and services, you can reach out to them and they will be sure to handle it or to cater to you. Thank you so much.
Hi guys, my name is Iyebiye Adeton. I'm a film poster designer and illustrator. This is ConsumerHalla TV. It's a consumer advocacy channel. We show content on consumers-based news, entertainment, and all of that. So I want you guys to stay tuned to ConsumerHalla TV.
My name is Anoluwapo Alao, a sales consultant for Star Times Nigeria. This is a ConsumerHalla TV, where they discuss anything consumer needs and get knowledge about anything about consumer. So keep watching it.
Hi, my name is Adebola Ogushino. I'm a filmmaker and you're watching ConsumerHalla TV. Any consumer related issues, they've got you.
Hi, my name is Stephen Olorunshisi. I'm a strategy and sales professional, currently working with Obey, and you're watching ConsumerHalla TV. I mean, this is one of the channels that you don't want to but stay on. Consumer advocacy, brand promotion, everything consumer, what you need to learn for your business to grow. This is a channel where you learn, where you experience entertainment to but it's good for businesses, for brands, and for an entrepreneur. If you want to know more about businesses, want to know more about brands, please stay watching. Alright, thank you so much, ConsumerHalla TV. Keep watching.
Hello, good day. My name is Tunde Balogun. I'm the lead pastor at the Kingsborough Church in London. And you're watching ConsumerHalla TV, which is a new initiation into the TV industry in Nigeria, the first of its kind in Nigeria, and I know that it's going to bring value and quality into the service industry. ConsumerHalla TV is here to offer value to service industry and to give a voice to consumers, bring awareness to the brand industry, and also bring education to what it is to have quality for what you paid for. I know that through ConsumerHalla TV, you are going to be able to get what you have paid for quality-wise and also give a voice to you in wherever it is that you do. I am here to support and give a shout out to say that keep watching ConsumerHalla TV and we'll have a better quality for value in Nigeria and in the global space. Please continue to watch ConsumerHalla TV because it is here to make things work better for you. It is on this note that I would like to say a big congratulations to the chairman and CEO of ConsumerHalla TV, Pastor Tunde Olufowora, and all the staffs of this great organization. Thank you for what you do. You are making things happen for us, and I pray that God bless you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Toyin Balogun. I'm here to give a shout out to ConsumerHalla TV, #1 platform helping you to shop smart, spend wisely, and live better. Anytime you have any kind of issues with your shopping, or you want to know a very honest review, please contact ConsumerHalla TV, here to help you. And please join the community where we can all make life easy and better for all of us.
Hey there, do you know in the world today, everyone is a consumer. And as consumers, we all have the right to be heard.
In Nigeria today, as a consumer, you have all right to product information, right to fair pricing, right to return goods, right to product labeling, right to fair dealings, and a lot more.
Well then, have you heard about the new media channel?
ConsumerHalla TV.
ConsumerHalla TV.
ConsumerHalla TV.
At ConsumerHalla TV, our goal is to inform and educate consumers in Nigeria with insightful news alongside development within the fast-paced world of consumers through well-researched, specialized, and analytical content.
Our vision at ConsumerHalla TV is to create an engaging platform that provides right connections for meaningful brands in Nigeria, thus creating a more caring world for consumers where business thrive.
And guess what? Our ConsumerHalla brand is the first consumer complaint resolution portal in Nigeria, powered by a 72-hour feedback mechanism. We offer consumer advocacy, informative talk shows, branding promotions, advertising, and lots more. Connect with us via our YouTube channel at ConsumerHalla TV. Follow us on our Facebook page, ConsumerHalla TV, our Instagram page, ConsumerHalla TV, and do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscription is free. ConsumerHalla TV. At ConsumerHalla TV, you deserve to be heard. At ConsumerHalla TV, you deserve to be heard. up and grateful. Top of the morning to you all Nigerians watching your favorite breakfast show on ConsumerHalla TV Perspective, and welcome. This is where we examine the major national and international issues shaping diplomacy, governance, security and public affairs. Absolutely, and of course we're ready to begin the conversation this morning. I am your host, Ire Hayomi. It's a pleasure to have you there joining us.
All right, good morning and welcome to another beautiful edition of Perspective on ConsumerHalla TV. Today we focus on the renewed xenophobic tensions in South Africa and the federal government's decision to begin evacuation arrangement for Nigerians willing to return home. The latest development follows renewed anti-foreigner protest in part of South Africa, particularly in Durban and Johannesburg, where groups have accused foreigners of contributing to unemployment, crime and pressure on public services. Nigerian authorities say the protests have created fear and uncertainty among Nigerians living in the country. I'm Kikelomo Ajibola. Good morning and welcome to the show once again.
According to the Nigerian government, more than 130 Nigerians have already registered for voluntary evacuation as concerns go over their safety. The Foreign Affairs Minister, Bianca Ujuku, says Nigeria cannot ignore the report of harassment, intimidation, and alleged extrajudicial killings involving Nigerians in South Africa. And the Nigerian consulate in Johannesburg had earlier issued security advisories, urging Nigerians to avoid protest areas and unnecessary confrontation during the planned nationwide demonstrations across South Africa's non-province.
And this is not the first time xenophobic violence has strained relations between Nigeria and South Africa. South Africa has witnessed repeated attacks against foreign nationals over the years, with migrants from Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Somalia and other African countries often affected. The situation has also triggered reactions in Nigeria, with some groups calling for boycott of South African businesses operating in the country, while others urge calm and diplomacy to avoid worsening tensions between Africa's two largest economies.
Interesting. To help us understand this diplomatic and sensitive economic and security implications of this crisis, this morning we're joined by Mr. Collins Nweke. He's a global affairs analyst, and he will be shedding more light by giving us insight on this sensitive conversation. Thank you for joining us this morning on Perspective, Mr. Collins Nweke. It's a pleasure to have you around.
My pleasure to be here with you, Ire and Kike. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good to have you here again. Now let's go straight into the business of the day, because there's xenophobia, of course, it's not just getting started. If you look at the history, it started between the late 90s to the early 2000s. And here we are in 2026, still talking about this issue. What, in your view, what are the major drivers behind the repeated xenophobic attacks in South Africa?
Well, thank you. First and foremost, I think it's fair to begin by saying that what we're witnessing in South Africa is deeply troubling, not only because Nigerians and other African nationals are reportedly being targeted, but because it strikes at the very soul of the African project. Xenophobia and Afrophobia undermine everything Pan-Africanism stood for. Solidarity, shared destiny, and mutual respect among African people. And yeah, you asked them a very, very important question, which is, what are the drivers of this, renewed attack? And I'm also happy that you drew attention to the fact that this wouldn't be the first time that this is happening. Now, the immediate triggers may vary, but the deeper drivers are largely social economic. Now, South Africa continues to battle extremely high unemployment, inequality, poverty, and frustration among sections of the population. In an environment such as that, foreigners often become easy scapegoats. Unfortunately, criminality and undocumented migration are sometimes mixed into the conversation, allowing populist actors to somehow redirect public anger towards migrants rather than structural governance challenges. But let us be clear, Ire and Kiki, hardship does not justify violence. Economic frustration may explain tensions, but it can never excuse attacks on innocent people. This is why the issue should not only be viewed as a South African problem, it reflects a broader African challenge, how to manage mobility, economic disparity, and social cohesion within a rapidly urbanizing continent. I think that's the major challenge there.
All right, Mr. Collins, that was a very good one. You've spoken about the fact that this xenophobic attack and the acrophobic attack is not the first time, and it is not looking like it's going to be the last time because of how the economy is, especially as African countries. But right now, we have relations with South Africa, and Nigeria often appear to be among the most visible targets during these attacks. Why do you think Nigerians are specifically affected?
Well, Nigerians are among the most visible African migrant communities across the continent. And let me say this by way of context. 1 in every 4 or 1 in every 5 black person in the world, and I'm not just talking of Africa, any black person in the world, 1 in 4, some estimates have put it at 1 in 5, is Nigeria. So, what that means essentially is that we are visible. And we are everywhere. Everywhere we are, we are seen. Nigerians, they are entrepreneurial, mobile, resilient, and culturally influential. Now, visibility, unfortunately, also attracts, stereotypes. There have been, isolated cases involving criminal elements, just as it exists in every nationality. The mistake is often isolated criminality becomes generalized into collective blame against millions of innocent Nigerians. We see it happen even out here in Europe where I am. The overwhelming majority of Nigerians are broader law-abiding people contributing positively to economies across Africa and the world, as doctors, medics, academics, traders, engineers, creatives, and, investors. We must therefore separate legitimate law enforcement from mob violence and ethnic profiling.
All right, interesting. While making your analysis, Mr. Collins, I'm so glad that you made sight of how important Nigerians are, how blessed and talented that we are, and automatically this issue still bounce back in one way or the other to the government of Nigeria as a whole. How would you assess the Nigerian government handling of this latest situation, especially the evacuation arrangement for affected citizens?
Well, Nigeria has generally responded with both caution and diplomatic restraint. And I believe Kike actually made reference to, the need to actually, prevent some sort of reactive approach rather than one that is thought through. So it is understandable because, emotionally charged diplomacy can worsen tensions and endanger citizens further. Now, there have been evacuation plans, we have been told, diplomatic engagements. I mean, our foreign affairs minister, Madam Bianca Odumegwu, has had high-level conversations with her counterpart in South Africa. There have been high-level condemnations and consultations through the African Union and, bilateral channels. Now, many Nigerians often expect a stronger symbolic posture from their government because of Nigeria's historic leadership role on the continent. Now, the challenge for government is balancing public outreach with strategic diplomacy. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes right now because it's not an easy matter to handle. You know, megaphone diplomacy may satisfy emotions temporarily, but may not always protect lives effectively. And that is, you know, the delicate balancing act that the Nigerian government, you know, have got to, you know, contend with in this particular matter.
All right, Mr. Collins, I must honestly say that the Nigerian government are actually, you know, following up this conversation, this situation with a high level of intelligence, because you don't, it's like they are trying not to retaliate. The citizens of Nigeria, some citizens are trying to aggravate things by, you know, targeting also South Africans living in Nigeria, which is absolutely not the way to go. But then, do you think African governments collectively are doing enough to address xenophobic violence across the continent, or is stronger regional action required? Because right now, it has moved away from just Nigerian. It is now targeted at a lot of other African countries.
The straightforward answer to your question, Kike, is that no, not quite. African governments haven't quite, you know, been doing enough. African governments have condemned the violence, yes, those are on record. But condemnation alone is no longer enough. The continent needs preventive mechanisms, not only reactive statements after attacks have occurred. Where have they been all this while? I mean, the African Union and regional blocs should establish strong xenophobic, rapid, you know, mediation frameworks and continental protocols for migrant, you know, protection. There's always need for deeper investment in Pan-African civic education. Many young Africans know little about the shared struggles that built modern Africa. Can you imagine that these young people running rampage right now in South Africa? You ask yourself, what have they learned from their parents and grandparents? Didn't they hear the story of how Africans stood firmly, you know, by South Africa when apartheid was, you know, tearing the country down? These are the sort of civic education that has to now be organized at a pan-African level to begin to address these issues in a structural manner.
Absolutely, that is interesting. I must say once again, when we started this conversation, I made it back to history briefly, and looking at it, it never just started. It took back in the late 1990s, and if I will be precise, 1994, where this issue happened. So looking at it back away, is there anything Nigeria could have done differently, diplomatically or strategically, to prevent tensions from escalating to this point? Looking at the fact, coupled with the fact rather, that it's not just starting now.
Absolutely, Ire. Yeah, there's always, you know, this thing called lesson learned. And I want to believe that both government and their advisors are actually, you know, taking notes. They're not going to come on air to announce all of those to us. But, you know, retrospectively, I would say Nigeria perhaps could have institutionalized a more structured diaspora protection architecture within Africa earlier than now. You know, for example, stronger economic diplomacy mechanisms, better migrant documentation system, you know, quicker consular responsiveness, you know, and more proactive citizen engagement platforms abroad, you know, those could help. Nigeria also needs to strengthen its domestic economy because that's where it boils down. One reason migration pressures intensify is because many young Africans across the continent are searching for opportunities elsewhere. Wherever they can find those opportunities, you know, they jet off to those places. Right now, it does look to quite a good number of them that South Africa is a newfound, you know, economic paradise for them, and that is accessible. So that's one of the reasons they are there. You know, a prosperous Nigeria with strong institutions becomes only a protected nation, but also a respected one. I think, you know, we need to pay attention or continued attention to that.
Absolutely, sir. Migration is not something that I feel like everybody just want to start doing. It's because of the way the economy is currently. That is why a lot of people are migrating. And South Africa seems to be the one closer to home compared to, you know, thousands of miles away. But beyond evacuation, Mr. Collins, and diplomatic engagement, what response options do you think are still available to Nigeria at this particular stage that we are in currently?
Yeah, thank you for that, Kike. I will first address retaliation. I know that's not a core question, but I think it's important. Retaliation should be approached very, very carefully. And I'm not one to rule it out completely. Nigeria and South Africa are two strategic pillars of Africa. I think you mentioned that in your intro.
Yes.
Egypt is also, another strong force. But Nigeria and South Africa, I mean, these are very, very strategic African pillars. Now, a prolonged diplomatic confrontation between them weakens the continent economically and politically. That said, Nigeria has, legitimate tools available. Diplomatic pressure, stronger citizen protection measures, regional engagement, targeted economic reviews, and multilateral, advocacy. But the immediate goal should not be punishment. It should be sustainable coexistence and, in my opinion, accountability. So, to sum it, I would say, if I have a bit of time, first, immediate citizen protection, I'm trying to summarize now. And then second, structured diplomatic engagement with Pretoria. Third, engagement through the African Union and regional bodies. There is no point in one country trying to go solo, like Ghana, made a representation to the African Union. No, this should be collective. Fourth, stronger diaspora data and emergency coordination system have got to be put in place. Fifth, I would say public communication that protects, Nigerians without inflaming South African, sentiment. And I believe Bianca Ojukwu has done that, pretty well. And then finally, long-term economic reform. I cannot emphasize that enough. Long-term economic reforms at home. The stronger protection any country can offer its citizens abroad is strong economy and credible, strong institutions at home.
I totally agree with you, but in another sentence that the response to situations like this is not being aggressive, because rephrasing a Yoruba adage that says, when iron meets iron, one will surely bend for each other. So I don't think we should even go that route, because that's not the solution to this issue at hand. But I strongly believe that when we're having conversations like this, Africa is Africa, be it South Africa, East Africa, West Africa, Ghana, wherever you are, we are all one. So do these recurring attacks suggest that the dream of African unity and the regional integration is gradually failing?
No, but it is being tested in a major way. Now, Europe went through, centuries of conflict before building stronger integration structures that, people like us are enjoying today and playing a part in. Africa's integration journey will also face tensions and contradictions such as what we are experiencing in South Africa today. Now, the answer is not, to abandon Pan-Africanism. No, the answer is to deepen it beyond slogans into practical cooperation, jobs, trade, education, cultural exchange, and responsible governance. Africa's future depends on Africans seeing one another not as threats, but as partners in shared prosperity.
Mr. Collins, there was a documentary that was filmed I think around 3 years ago by a very popular name in the media industry, and it spoke about this xenophobic attack, particularly based on Operation Dudula. I don't know if you are familiar with that operation in South Africa. That the one carrying out most of this major violence, and most of the conversation would be, oh, there's other foreign countries, foreigners are selling drugs. They are illegal migration migrants. They are causing unemployment. The free housing given to them by South African government. They are renting it out to them. You know, they go to their places, attack them, stuff like that. And it even got to a point that in that documentary, it wasn't just about foreigners. Even if you are a mixed nation, like Nigeria married to a South African, they're still questioning your nationality. Even if you have the citizenship card of South Africa, they're still questioning it because they just don't want to accept the fact that you are in their country. How much of this crisis is actually linked to unemployment, economic hardship, and social inequality within South Africa itself, as these South Africans are claiming right now, and they are justifying it for their actions?
The fact is, Kiki, that all of the elements, all of the factors that you have named are actually, represented in the mix one way or the other. But I think that the bigger question is, what rights do individuals have to take the laws into their hands? Okay, let's take for instance that, a Nigerian or any other African migrant is dealing drugs in South Africa. Civilians, mobs do not have any business in attacking those people. That is what the law enforcement is set up for. So they should report that. Now, the right that you cannot take away from South Africans is when they feel that their social system is being put under pressure by migrants. You cannot take away the rights for them to protest. They have the right to do that, but it should be done within the confines of the law. And then allow the law to take its course. Now, there are advocacy groups, and I hope that there are advocacy groups on both sides. I mean, those that protect the rights of migrants and those that further the national interest of South Africa, that ultimately they will begin to dialogue and eventually get the system to work. That is essentially where it all rests, allowing the system, these institutions to work.
As far as I'm concerned, I think transparency is very, very important because issues like this, we know that we know the chance, understand the Nigeria government, are facing towards issues like this. So, to what extent the political rhetoric, and public statement by some South African politicians contribute to anti-foreigner sentiment?
Oh yes, it's contributing in a major way and in a very, very dangerous way. Now, let me say this. The dream that, most everyday South Africans had since 1994 when apartheid was toppled and democracy, installed in their country, some have felt a very high level of, disappointment. As you and I speak, Ire, the youth unemployment is at about 49%. I mean, what that essentially means is that of every 10 young person in South Africa, nearly 5, are unemployed. So that actually, is a failure on the part of government. Now, government operatives, including, or let me even say, especially the ruling party, for want of a better explanation for what is happening, they are actually speaking from both sides of their mouth, trying to, position the, or like they say in South Africa, locate the problem somewhere else than where it actually is, which is a failure of, governance. So they just allow them, it is not right to carry out violence, but at the same time, South Africans have the right to, protest. That is not what a responsible government should be doing. They should be condemning it, frontally and outlining steps to ensure that it stops forthwith. But they are, resting on that as a way, let me say, indirect way of excusing their failures. Now, on the other hand, yes, there are those that are genuinely feel that migrants are a strain and that is the problem. That is the reason they are not getting, a fair share of economic advancement there. But that is misplaced, and it should not be.
Mr. Collins, we've been seeing a lot of we've actually witnessed some xenophobic attack in the past years, but this one seems to be something that is the talk of the town currently from like over a week now. How serious is this latest wave of tensions compared to previous xenophobic incidents witnessed in South Africa over the years?
Yeah, I think this all started kicking with, framing this as xenophobia. That was in the early years. Now, I think the term Afrophobia is increasingly more accurate, and that actually speaks to its seriousness. Because many of the attacks disproportionately target fellow Africans rather than all foreigners equally. Now,
exactly.
This is the tragedy. This is the tragedy of it. Africans turning against Africans weaken continental unity and damages the credibility of the African integration agenda, including the African continental, free trade area. If Africans cannot peacefully coexist within Africa, then the dream of economic integration becomes much harder to achieve. But you see, this is not the sort of a gospel that, the rampaging young people want to hear. And that is why I will continue to emphasize, the necessity of civic education, not at the tertiary level of education, but right from the kindergarten, from the nursery schools.
Okay then. Aside from the footages and the clippers saying on the media to affirm the situation, the regulation bodies too, as well as affirm this unpleasant situation happening right now. So what role should the African Union and regional bodies like the SADC play in preventing and responding to the xenophobic violence?
Well, like I said earlier, I think it is important that Africa acts in unity, and the regional body, the African Union, and the regional blocs, for instance, ECOWAS, SADC, and the rest of them, should establish a stronger early warning system for xenophobic, violence, rather than mediation frameworks. Mediation framework is important, and it should be rapid mediation frameworks and continental protocols. Not necessarily a protocol from individual countries. There are 54 of them. No, it should be continent-wide protocol for migrant protection. There is also need for deeper investment in Pan-African civic education. I said that earlier. There is this thing, that they called Africa Peer Review Mechanism. Well, that should be taken more seriously now, and actually, be part of that protocol that compels every nation of the world, every nation of Africa, to indeed make a peer review now and again, meet where you meet at the AU level, even AU Parliament, and then compare notes and then review practices. These are some of the things that could be done at the continental level, anchored by the African Union, and then this becomes a continent-wide strategy.
And finally, before we let you go, Mr. Collins, let's talk about some preventive measure that we can take. So what practical long-term measures can help prevent future xenophobic crises and strengthen peaceful coexistence across Africa?
Right. You see, Kika, in answering this, question, I just feel that this moment calls for wisdom, not rage. Every Nigerian life matters. Every African life matters. Violence against any African anywhere on the continent diminishes all of us collectively. Now, Nigeria must firmly protect its citizens, but Africa must also protect its moral vision, and that is where your question comes. The continent cannot speak of unity in conference halls while Africans fear one another in the streets of Africa. It just doesn't work that way. The long-term solution, sustainable solution, I must add, lies not in retaliation, but in justice, economic inclusion, responsible political leadership, and renewed Pan-African consciousness. Africa's strength will not come from isolation, but it will come from solidarity between Nigeria and South Africa, Botswana and, Ethiopia, and so on and so forth.
Mr. Collins Nweke, your knowledgeable insights on this conversation will make things work out for good, absolutely. And many thanks for joining us on the conversation and for sharing your insight on this important issue. It's a pleasure to have you on the program.
My pleasure. Thank you always for having me.
All right, please do well to enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes.
And for the sake of those who are just joining us on the breakfast show this morning, right there, that was Mr. Collins Nweke. Many thanks to him for sharing his insight on this important issue. And he joined us on the xenophobia and evacuation of Nigerians from South Africa. That was a very beautiful one, Kike.
A very insightful one indeed.
The renewed xenophobic tensions in South Africa have once again exposed the deep challenges surrounding migration, unemployment, diplomacy, and regional cooperation on the African continent.
And with more Nigerians already registering for voluntary evacuation, diplomatic engagement continuing between Abuja and Pretoria, the coming days will be critical in determining how both countries manage the crisis. The situation has also renewed conversations about the safety of Africans living in other African countries and whether continental institutions are doing enough to uphold the ideals of African unity and integration.
Analysts say the repeated xenophobic violence could undermine the regional economic cooperation effort under the African Continental Free Trade Area, especially at a time African leaders continue to push for the stronger intra-African trade mobility and collaboration. For many observers, the major question now is whether this latest crisis will finally lead to stronger protection frameworks for migrants across Africa, or whether the continent will continue to witness recurring cycles of xenophobic violence. Thank you so much for joining us, and I will be right back. Let's go on a short break. Perspective is still going on. We'll be right back. Today on the show, No Leave, No Transfer. Welcome back to Perspective, where we examine the major policy decisions and how they affect infrastructure investment. And on the second half of the show, we're talking about the Federal Executive Council as they approve the strategic PPP infrastructure project across Nigeria.
All right, and that is a very, very good one to talk about this morning, as the Federal Executive Council has approved a new set of public-private partnership infrastructure project across Nigeria. According to official report from the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, the approved project include the development of a smart national transport data bank and 2 independent power projects for the One Port Complex in Rivers State and the Apapa Port Complex in Lagos.
This initiative is a part of government effort to attract private sector financing into infrastructure development, especially in transport data system and power supply to key economic corridors. And the government says the project are designed to improve efficiency, reduce logistics, bottlenecks, and support economic productivity in the major trade hubs like Lagos Port, which Nigeria is still facing infrastructure deficit in power, transport, and logistics. the PPP model continues to play a central role in financing national development. And just to discuss the implications of these approvals, we're joined by Shola Bikirste. He's the Group Director, FIC Professionals Network PLC. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Shola, on the show this beautiful morning.
Good morning. Happy to be
morning.
here.
It's so good to have you. I love the sound of that. That is quite sharp. All right, let's go into it. And apologies if I didn't pronounce your surname very well, because I knew that was not the right pronunciation. But we'll get back to that before we end the show. The Federal Executive Council has approved a new PPP project, including the National Transport Data Bank and the Port Power Project. From a finance and investment perspective, tell us the significance of this approach.
Well, it is better than doing nothing. The approvals are around power and road info. So if we start with power, Nigeria needs 1,000 of such similar power projects. And this current government has done the right thing right from the beginning in 2023, when they passed the power dilution law that now allows us to develop their own power. So for me, 2 years after, for the Federal Executive to be putting energy to approve 2 power projects, PPP arrangement, is like in Panadol for cancer. It is better than nothing, but it is too little when you talk about the power requirements for Nigeria. So it relates to power. As it relates to the road infrastructure, it's the same thing. Nigeria has rural roads, state roads, and federal roads. So when you give concession to some people to do some portion of the roads, it doesn't cover it. So the fundamental approach is wrong. The FEC should stop wasting their energy around, if you like, political approvals, and pay more attention to what they started with 2 years ago by allowing the infrastructure to be moved from federal to states and even local governments level. So this kind of PPP approval at local government level, it should not be at federal government level at this stage of Nigeria's development.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shola, for that beautiful one right there. But now Nigeria continues to rely on PPPs for infrastructure funding. What does this say about government fiscal capacity and private sector confidence?
Oh, well, let's first of all understand that money will always follow opportunity anywhere it exists. So the fact that there will always be private people who will approach government to, get into one arrangement or the other is natural, because Nigeria is opportunity endless. And by extension, sub-Saharan Africa. If Nigeria we should not just be talking about building infrastructure PPP for just Nigeria. We should be talking about PPP for Congo, for Cameroon, for Niger, and the surrounding countries around sub-Saharan Africa. Because what is more important is a financial infrastructure that the federal government can put in place to finance the endless opportunity that is across Nigeria. So whether government is doing the right thing or not, the private sector people will always do their best to try and take advantage of the deep infrastructure gap that exists across sub-Saharan Africa.
You just made mention of the financial infrastructure, and critically when looking at the financial infrastructure, I think the data bank is meant to be well accumulated. So now the transport data bank is meant to improve the logistic and planning efficiency, as we all know. How important is data infrastructure in solving Nigeria's transport challenges?
Let's go beyond just transport data. One The biggest challenge Nigeria's economy has today is data. The absence of verified and reliable data. So it's not just sports. There have been school of thoughts that argue that the only job that government is supposed to be doing is gathering data. How many corn farmers do we have in? What is the size of their farmland? How do we have in there? Where are they located? And when we now talk about, of course, transport, how many cars in Nigeria and all, so data and one of the evidence of a government that knows what they're doing is actually heavy investment in data collection in every aspect of the economy. And from there, we can get so much more done as a nation.
All right, so Mr. Shola, let's quickly take a look at this project itself, because the approved power projects target key economic zones like Apapa and Onne Port. How critical is stable electricity in improving port productivity and trade efficiency?
It's crucial. That's the simple answer. Power is essential for any economy to grow. I'm a satellite engineer, and when you look at the map of the world on a 24-hour cycle, it will shock you how dark sub-Saharan Africa is compared to the rest of the world, and that's because of the absence of power. So yes, for the ports and the industrial zones, that is a good starting point. It will make a huge difference in the places where they are located. But like I said, we need 1,000 of those kind of power projects all over Nigeria. Meant to start happening.
All right, if we take an eagle eye to look at how the system has been over the years, we can testify that the PPP project often depend on the long-term investor returns. And now, so what do you think are the risks that typically affect investor participation in such infrastructure deals in Nigeria?
Yeah, once again, it's one of the things that we've not gotten right in Nigeria, because a lot of PPP projects are usually between the federal government and a private company. One of the things that can be done to correct that situation is to require all PPP arrangements to go public, either from the beginning or at some point in the future. So going public is to be listed on either local or international stock exchanges. If that requirement is built into Nigeria's PPP projects, I promise you a lot of PPP arrangements function properly. They will be well funded, they will be well structured, and they are more likely to be sustainable over a long period, as against the situation where we have a lot of PPP projects all over Nigeria. A lot of them are not working very well, and it's because the private is usually individuals, and it should be public to public. Public now mean publicly listed organizations. In actual fact, one of the things that any knowledgeable Nigerian government can do is to go back to so many government-related projects that fall around PPP and require them to be listed on stock exchanges globally. Start with NNPC, for example, that we've struggled with so long. Just list them on the exchanges. Ajaokuta Steel, so many power plants that belong to federal government, and they don't know what to do with it, and they're practically giving it out for free to individuals who are more or less just living off those projects. So it's fundamentally flawed. if we go back to requiring PPPs to be centered around publicly listed organizations, in the first instance, Nigeria will become unbelievably cash rich within a very short period. That was what Saudi Arabia did. They listed their own equivalent of NNPC, and they made so much money, they don't even know what to do with the money again. And there's a recent case of a private individual who did a PPP, took over a power project from federal government, took it to the stock exchange, and cashed out in trillions from federal government investment. That is money that should have gone to Nigeria. But that is a practical example of what we can now do as a nation and start taking so many PPP projects, take them public, and take the headache away from government. Government has no business staying in business.
All right. You've just spoken about how much of resources we have and how much resources our government are not really taking a good look into. But then how do regulatory clarity and policy consistency influence investor confidence in PPP infrastructure project currently?
Yeah, very, very important. Not to take away from what the Nigerian Infrastructure Regulatory Commission is doing. They're doing quite a lot of work, but they are clearly overwhelmed. And because Nigeria is a construction site all over the place. But the consistency is key. And that consistency, especially over time, and the tendency for new governments or new regimes to do somersaults has been one of Nigeria's biggest challenges. So many, one example is a concern with the Lagos airport that took 20 years to solve. I mean, that is quite something. So we need to take extra effort to be very consistent and not to be punitive. Nigeria's current trend now is that by next year, if this current regime is still not in power, a lot of initiatives that they put in place stand the risk of being reversed, even if they are progressive ones. Hopefully, government will get it and they will, pedal down on policy somersaults as we progress. But it is very fundamental and very key that policy consistency will drive investor confidence, both locally and internationally.
Interesting. Yeah, if we are to be sincere with ourselves and very transparent, we all know that Nigeria has a large infrastructure deficit across the part, transport and logistics. You made mention of that earlier while having your analysis. Can the PPP realistically close this gap at the required scale?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Okay, I said we all know that Nigeria has a large infrastructure deficit across the power, the transport and the logistics. So can the PPP realistically close this gap at the required scale?
It cannot. The current PPP arrangement, like I've said, needs to be revised. It is not adequate. It is just touching the surface. We need something that is much more comprehensive, that can operate at the local government level and state levels, more or less, for PPP to be happening per hour instead of per regime. If you take China, for example, one of the things that China did is an example that we can use. The reason why there are so many developed cities in China is because the federal government of China allowed the local governments to manage their own development. They just gave them the framework to work with. And so the PPP that we have in Nigeria needs to move from federal right down to local governments. And the framework should encourage stock exchange activity instead of private individual activity, because the private individual arrangements tend to go to political affiliates and personal interested persons. But a publicly listed type of PPP is less likely to allow, favoritism and those kind of things that tend to happen in the Nigerian environment.
Absolutely. But before we go, let's talk about this particular conversation, which is the reform that we are talking about. So what reforms are still needed to make PPPs more effective in delivering infrastructure at scale in Nigeria? As you mentioned earlier on, that this particular one is quite not adequate.
Yes, I've said it already. Maybe we should add another P to the PPP. Yes, public, private, and publicly listed instead of just the private and publicly listed. That is the solution to Nigeria's policy around PPP arrangement. If governments can take that initiative and upgrade that law, we will see substantial growth in the much needed infrastructure deficit for Nigeria. And by the way, relating to the conversation you had before we started this conversation, the reason why a lot of Nigerians are leaving Nigeria is because of infrastructure. Of course, that extends to security, but infrastructure can also take care of security. So if that infrastructural problem is resolved, a lot of Nigerians, or much more Nigerians, will stay back in the country and they will not run away to go and look for environments where the infrastructure meets their personal ambitions.
All right, interesting one right there. Yoruba will say "Kindu Kinpo Shoki Lobe." Kiki, how do we interpret that in English? All right, thank you so much, Mr. Shola, for that. But before we go, I'll go back to the pronunciation of your surname. Please, can you pronounce your surname very well so I can make adjustment on that?
So just for the record, I'm from Lagos Island.
I knew it.
So I'm a full-blooded Lagosian. So the spelling is Bikaste.
Okay, Bikaste. All right. Thank you, Mr. Shola, for your insight on the conversation about the recent approval of the PPP infrastructure project, reflecting on Nigeria as it continues its reliance on the private sector participation to finance the critical development in transport, energy, and logistics system. It's a pleasure to have you on the conversation. Please do well to enjoy the rest of your day, Mr. Shola.
Thank you for having me.
All right, do well to have a very great day.
All right.
Yeah, that was a very beautiful one right there. We had Mr. Shola on the show, joining us by sharing a lot of insight about the fake approval of the strategic PPP infrastructure project across Nigeria, and the ongoing challenges in power supply, the congestion at major ports, and transport inefficiencies. And this project are expected to target the key bottlenecks in economic activity.
Absolutely. However, for consumers and businesses, the key question remains how quickly these investments translate into improved services, reduced costs, and more efficient infrastructure systems that directly affect daily economic life. Thank you so much for joining the conversation this morning, and that was a very, very insightful one we had on the program.
Okay, this is where we drop the pen finally on the conversation this morning. It's always a pleasure to have our guest join us on the conversation, and to have very beautiful viewers at home joining us on your favorite breakfast show. It's always a pleasure to know you are always there. And on this conversation, it's always delightful as well to have my girl Kikeloma Ajibola on the show. And this is where we draw the curtain finally on the conversation. We'll be right back again tomorrow. Follow us on all our social media handles, just like Kike will say. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, consumers. You have the right to be heard. Absolutely. So join us on the conversation, share your brand experience, where you tell us all your experiences about brand on the outer world via our YouTube channel every Wednesday from the hour of 4:20 to 5:20. You can watch us via our YouTube channel, ConsumerHallaTV, and subscription is free. Follow us on all our social media platforms, ConsumerHallaTV. Share your brand experience. It's about storytelling. It's about experiences.
Hello, consumers. You're welcome to another exciting episode of Consumer Voice on ConsumerHallaTV. I am Matilda Omenai. As you already know, Consumer Voice is a show where we'll be visiting different places in Lagos to check out people's preferences, hear what the consumers have to say about different leading brands that they make use of.
Hello, it's your boy here, Iremo Feko Foworola, and you know what? They call me the AUF General Overseer. Every day is a blessing and it is meant to be enjoyed maximally with AUF packages that put a smile on our faces. And guess what? That is why this show AUF is for you. You can get to know about trendy market slashes, promos, offers and juicy deals that put a smile on your faces, and you can always enjoy them maximally. And you know one thing that is so interesting about this show? It is a blend of English and Pidgin. As I dey run you English, now I go dey marry am with Pidgin, make am spicy. So catch me every time on the show to enjoy more about trendy AUF packages.
Public service announcement. Hello, consumers. I am Kikelomo Ajibola, and welcome to the Scam segment on ConsumerHalla TV. Scam educates viewers about various scams affecting consumers. We learn tips on how to identify fraudulent activities and provide advice on protecting our personal information. We aim to raise awareness and empower viewers to avoid falling victim to scams. We cover various topics such as phishing, identity theft, fraudulent investment schemes, and many more. You want to catch up on how these scammers invade our lives? Join us every Tuesday by 12:30 p.m. for Scam Alert on our YouTube channel at ConsumerHalla TV. Subscription is absolutely free. And in case you're not following us across all our social media platforms, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok at ConsumerHalla TV. Don't say I didn't do anything for you this 2025. Bye.
Welcome to In the Marketplace. We are taking you on a journey behind the scene of Nigeria's most vibrant market, from the sight and sound of the market to the stories of the people who makes it thrive. We will be sharing the untold stories that brings this market to life. Join us as we explore the history, challenges, and triumphs of the market vendors. We will dive into the daily lives of the people who call markets home and uncover the secret that makes this market special. You will get to see the passion, energy, and dedication that goes into making this market success. Tune in to the In the Marketplace on ConsumerHalla TV on Thursday by 11 a.m. to experience the sight and sound. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media handle on ConsumerHalla TV. I am Elizabeth Abefe.
Hello, fellow consumers. Are you looking for a program where we give analysis about brand and a program where we project the voice of the consumer? Join my team and I on Consumer Analytics and Resolution Box by calling on the program to get your issues resolved.
And in case you are wondering where Consumer Analytics and Resolution Box will be showing, please join us on our YouTube channel at ConsumerHalla TV. Subscription is free by 2 p.m. to 4 o'clock.
Good morning and welcome to the news at 10 on ConsumerHalla TV. I am Peace Nwoke. Vice President Kashim Shettima has pledged support for the speedy passage of the Chartered Governors Institute of Nigeria Bill, currently before the National Assembly. He also assured the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, a federal backing for the completion of its new national secretariat in Lagos. Shettima gave the assurance while receiving a delegation of ICSAN, led by its president and chairman of council, Uto Ukpana, during a courtesy visit to the presidential villa in Abuja. Ukpana briefed the vice president on efforts by the institute to strengthen corporate governance, ethical leadership, and institutional capacity across the public and private sectors. The ICSAN president explained that the proposed Chartered Governance Institute of Nigeria bill, awaiting second reading at the National Assembly, would improve professionalism and align Nigeria with evolving global governance standards. She also appealed for government support towards the completion of the Institute's National Secretariat, expected to serve as a center for governance education, research, and stakeholder engagement. Responding, Shettima stressed the importance of good governance in national development and commended ICSAN for its contributions over the past 60 years. He assured the delegation that the federal government would continue supporting initiatives aimed at strengthening institutions, promoting transparency, and driving sustainable economic growth. Nigeria's equities market closed at a fresh all-time high on Wednesday, as sustained investor demand pushed the Nigerian Exchange All-Share Index above the quarter-million mark. The benchmark index gained 283.52 points, representing 0.11%, to close at 252,695.19 points. The rally was driven mainly by strong buying interest in blue-chip stocks, especially MTN Nigeria and Boa Cement. Gains recorded by the two companies lifted market capitalization by 64 billion naira to 162.06 trillion naira. Other stocks that supported the bullish performance included UACN, Berger Paints Nigeria, and Fitson Healthcare. Market breadth also remained positive, with 39 gainers against 29 losers at the close of trading. Dar Communications, Fitson Healthcare, Livestock Feeds, and CWG topped the gainers chart with a maximum daily appreciation of 10% each, while NCR Nigeria and Cornerstone Insurance led the losers list. Trading activity remained strong, with more than 1.5 billion shares exchanged in over 76,000 deals, valued at 91.66 billion naira. The Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, has raised concerns over increasing insider-related fraud in the banking sector, calling for a return to ethical standards in recruitment and operations. The institute warned that a growing trend threatens public confidence in the nation's financial system. Speaking at the 2026 annual general meeting of the CIBN Lagos State branch, the president and chairman of council, Pius Olarewaju, said banks now focus more on deposit mobilization and personal connections than integrity and proper screening of prospective employees. Olarewaju disclosed that the industry had suffered major financial losses through collaboration between bank insiders and criminal networks. He cited recent cases where billions of naira were reportedly siphoned from two banks within a fortnight, attributing the development to the growing desire for quick wealth among young professionals. Despite the concerns, the institute expressed optimism over the ongoing recapitalization exercise by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Olarewaju commended the Apex Bank for providing a structured 24-month implementation period, while the Lagos State branch of the institute reported growth in assets and surplus for the 2025 financial year. Nigeria's crude oil imports for domestic refining dropped sharply in April 2026 as local refineries, including the Dangote Petroleum Refinery, received nearly 18 million barrels of crude entirely from domestic sources. According to figures released by the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, local refineries received 18.37 million barrels of crude in April, with 17.96 million barrels sourced locally and only 410,000 barrels imported. The latest figures represent a major reduction in import dependence compared to previous months. The report showed that domestic refineries received an average of 612,000 barrels per day in April, while imports declined to just 13,700 barrels daily. The Dangote refinery recorded an average capacity utilization of more than 99% during the month and produced over 53 million liters of petrol daily, alongside diesel and aviation fuel. The NMDPRA described the development as a strong sign of Nigeria's growing energy self-sufficiency, although petrol prices remain high due to tensions in the Middle East. President of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, says the company rejected attempts by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to increase its 7.25% stake in the Dangote Petroleum Refinery. Dangote disclosed this during an interview with the Chief Executive Officer of the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund, Nikolai Tangen. He explained that the refinery plans to go public so more Nigerians can have the opportunity to own shares in the facility. The billionaire businessman stated that the National Oil Company had earlier agreed to acquire a 20% stake in the refinery, but later reduced its holding to 7.25% after failing to pay the balance. He added that further requests by NNPC to buy additional stakes were declined. Dangote also said future investors in the refinery, petrochemical and cement businesses would receive dividends in dollars because a significant portion of the group's revenue now comes from exports. He identified government policy inconsistencies as one of the biggest risks facing major investments in Nigeria. Energy stakeholders, regulators, and industry operators are expected to gather in Lagos on July 23rd for discussions on reducing emissions in Nigeria's oil and gas sector